Hey honey bunny, welcome back if you're a returning bestie. If you're new here, what's up? My name is 𝚜𝚕𝚘𝚠𝚠. I'm an illustrator / content creator, and I'm super duper happy you're here with me today. I'm so excited. Today we're doing a draw with me of November's Patreon reward. It was a digital download of a winter themed coloring page, and I was inspired by my love of gingerbread houses. Even though I've never made one, I've always wanted to make one and enter a competition. I'm sure I'd be terrible at it, but like the thought makes me super duper happy. I should tell you that this won't be a tutorial or anything like that. This is just how I use Procreate and the best way I know how to use Procreate. I'm pretty sure there's a ton of features I don't know how to use, but I love to learn. So if you have any tips or tricks, you can definitely drop them down below. All right, let's go. These are little hand exercises so I can get my fingers ready for the Procreate. Let's do it. Let's go. Bestie, do you want to hear this super embarrassing story where I let my mental health and stress get the best of me? Tell me why I could have potentially spoke to Nickelodeon and Disney in the same day and got my portfolio in front of them, but I bailed at the last minute. So mind you, this is a time where there's a lot going on in my life. Okay, so if you don't know, I went to an art school and I graduated from SCAD in 2020. And I went to the Atlanta campus, not the Savannah campus. But anyway, so SCAD usually holds this like event where you can get in front of major companies and basically show your portfolio to them. And I believe you either have to be like a junior or like a senior, and you're able to get into this event. Well, long story short, my dad had a heart attack and I ended up going to Michigan. This also happened to be my birthday weekend and the same weekend that this event was held. So first off, let me tell you about my mental state when it came to this event. I did not draw when I was younger, so I kind of learned like all my art skills within SCAD, and I still wasn't up to par yet. Like, my skill did not meet where my taste was yet. So I'm panicking, freaking out, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have a portfolio review. I had scrambled to get my portfolio together within like my last year of SCAD. So I was like super panicky, and I did not feel skilled enough or prepared mentally to even speak to people. I like panic and clam up when I have to talk to people. But I don't know, like this day was just crazy. Anyhow, I end up having a panic attack. And attached to that panic attack were these sharp chest pains. So I thought I was having a heart attack. And this is probably because my dad ended up just having a heart attack. And usually when he has an injury, I usually have a similar injury. Like, I'll call him randomly and I'll be like, my knee hurts. And he'll be like, is it your left knee? Because my left knee hurts too. And I'll be like, yeah. So I full on believed that I was having a heart attack. So at the time, this is like peak COVID, because this is in 2020. So my boyfriend is like, are you sure you're not just having a panic attack? I'm like, no, I'm having a heart attack. You need to take me to the hospital now. So we end up going to the hospital. It's peak COVID, so he can't come in with me. He ends up having to stand outside. And it's snowing. It starts snowing. And I feel so bad because he's from Georgia, and this is the first time he's been in Michigan. And I'm like, I've got him standing outside in the cold, and it just started snowing in May. Like, oh my God, it was so terrible. Well, anyway, turns out, I was having a panic attack and not a heart attack. Thank goodness. But I ended up talking to some friends who actually went through the event, and the event was virtual because of COVID, which is how I was able to be in Michigan while the event was being held in Atlanta. Well, it wasn't really held in Atlanta. It was virtual. But anywho, I talked to my friends who stayed for the event, and it turns out that the event was so unorganized that people barely got to speak to like anyone. Like, we were all kind of like in these like separate rooms on like Zoom, and like employers can come in and talk to you, and some of my friends were like, nobody came in and it was the worst. So they're sitting in there for like an hour or two with nobody coming in. So I'm like, oh my God, I could have just went through this without having a panic attack and at least been proud of myself for going through it, and probably wouldn't have spoke to anybody, but at least I would have like stayed, you know? Knowing what I know now, I realized I didn't fully understand that I was traveling through the gap. When I say the gap, I'm referring to the difference in my abilities in art and my taste in art. The pieces I was making then and even now don't match the aesthetics of what I find appealing in art. Like a lot of people, I started my art journey because I idolized other artists, and that's all rainbows and butterflies, but while growing through the gap, your lack of skill can be more evident, and then you wind up comparing yourself instead of being inspired. And while that's happening, a lot of your negativity can creep in your brain. Like, why am I not good enough? Am I a fraud? Why did I bother? Look at everybody else's work. Who am I kidding? The fear of not being good enough can spin itself into a lot of anxiety and much, much more. But now I'm a little more aware and recognize that it's all part of the process. And the only way to get better is by repetition and consistency. The only way to get out of the woods is to keep pushing through until you find the view you're looking for. For me, to look back now and see how obvious it was is kind of wild, but that's life. Just like it's easier to help someone else rather than help yourself, it's also easier to help your past self versus your current self. I say this to say, when you feel negative emotions related to your work, now you know you might just be in the gap, and the only way to carry on is to keep on pushing through. That story was a few years ago, and honestly, I'm just now feeling more confident in my work. I'm still very embarrassed about the story though. I took the time to look through my old sketchbooks, and I've improved so much, it's crazy. Is it exactly how I want it to be? Nope, not at all. But I know I'm getting closer to what I like, and for me, that's a win. If you're currently feeling like you're stuck in the gap, you can improve too with a little consistency. And no, bestie, consistency doesn't mean working 24/7 every day, because taking breaks is a key part of the process too. Because how else can you evaluate your growth and determine your next area of focus? You can't. So definitely please take breaks. It's like imperative. Like, your wrist will thank you if you're drawing, but just like anything else, like, your mind will thank you for taking a break. This is something I've learned from and unfortunately had to experience. But hopefully you can learn from this without ever having to experience it. Just learn from my mistakes. Let me know if I was too late and you've already been through something similar. I'd love to hear from you. We're nearing the end of the video here, and I'm ultra happy you were here to keep me company. I didn't think I would make it without you. If you're interested in this coloring page, it's available now on Patreon. Or if receiving monthly stickers and prints is more your cup of tea, being a patron is what you'll want to be. Useful links, including Patreon, will be below. You can also befriend me on Instagram or TikTok to be one of the first to know about shop updates. P.S. Patrons get first dibs. Thank you so much for subscribing. And if you haven't already, but dig my vibes, just know the feeling is mutual, and I love to have you as a bestie. Sending you all the love in the universe. Until next time, bestie boo. Mwah.